There you go. Finally. Only 37 tries later. What's up, everybody? I have Tyler from Diamond ProTech this morning, and we are diving into his background, a little bit about him, and how he got into detailing. Tell us a little about yourself, sir.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I was kind of thinking about this. I was just coming home. I actually got home at midnight last night. So if I'm a little sluggish, I apologize. Let me see if I can set this up so that I don't have to hold it and I'm not giving everybody motion sickness. So I decided to come outside to do this. Not too far away. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yep, I hear you.
So yeah, I really started in the detail industry. It's
Well,
kind of
tell us about you. Like, how'd you get into cars? How'd you get into
yeah.
grow? A little bit about growing up.
Yeah, growing up, getting into cars is kind of a cool story for me. So growing up, I was always a sports junkie. I did, deck hockey, ice hockey, football, you name it, I kind of did it. And I had a stepdad that was just really into cars. And eventually I said, hey, relationships kind of go two ways. There was something that I was saying a lot when I was a kid, probably like 10 years old, 10, 12 years old. And my dad would watch Power Block TV literally every single weekend. And I was like, you know what? I don't really know much about cars. Why don't I sit down and just watch it? And I'll be very honest. I got into the car scene, not really knowing anything about cars, not thinking it was going to be my career choice down the road. Like, this is all I've done is automotive since I've gotten out of high school, and yeah, so that's kind of how I got into the car scene as a whole. Is just trying to find common grounds with my dad, and now I've made a career out of it, a pretty good career too.
Did he have anything cool back then?
So my mom and my stepdad were high school sweethearts, and he had an old Trans Am that was like any other high school kid with a sports car. It had rotten out floors and everything, but I was kind of the reason he had to part ways with his Trans Am was to buy diapers for me. So uh, and then ever since then. He's never had anything crazy cool. He got a Mustang. He did get a Mustang when he graduated college. He had gone back later in life to finish up college, and then that would have been probably when I was 14, 16, probably somewhere between 12 and 14, because then at 16, that actually was my first car, was that Mustang. So it was a basic Mustang. It was a V6 convertible automatic. It was kind of what he could afford as a toy for himself, and then was a great first car for me. But yeah, so
Yeah, back then, when I was younger, way back, my uncle John had a '67 Camaro back on my grandma's back porch. I remember that. My other uncle John used to have, it was in the family for quite some time, had a '79 Scout 2, fully restored that. That was in the family for 30 years or something. I was really mad that he let that thing go. Fully restored inside outs, um, blue with white, but he let it sit outside, and I guess had a mechanic's lien against it and whatever. And then passed away, but I didn't know that. I was too young, but really mad. I would love a Scout too.
yeah.
My dad had like a 280Z El Camino, Porsche 944, but not a turbo. Um, stuff like that. So that's kind of what, it's always, that type of stuff's always been in the family. The other ones, other family members are not, they like cars. We're not deep into it like I am.
So yeah, so it's funny. Growing up, I was always about sports because my biological dad was about sports, not knowing that he enjoyed cars also. So my dad, my biological father, had a 442. He now has a Mustang as well. So it's kind of funny. My dad and my stepdad are both, Trans Am Camaro guys at heart, and now they both at one point ended up having Mustangs. And Mandy and I, my wife, we have an 87 Mustang that's a project car that hasn't ran for a handful of years now that, you're like, oh, I'm going to do this one thing. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, if I'm going to do this one thing, I may as well do it right and do all this other stuff too. I am a Mustang junkie. I'm a Ford junkie. But at the same time, my daily driver is a Sierra. So, while I sit there and bash on GMs, that's... So it's kind of funny how it flip-flops and everything.
Yeah. Family's pretty much a GM family.
Yeah.
My uncle works at GM. So I have two trucks, Yukon, Denali, and used to have my CTSV. And I got 2,500 heavy duty lifted. I definitely need to get back and have some stuff done to it, but the V was my show car. And while it's very expensive, and I understand life goes on and you got other responsibilities, that's how I really connected met a lot of people. Was the great thing about car people is you can have a Ferrari lifted truck, old car, muscle car, exotic car, and you can just sit and talk cars.
So it's kind of funny you say that. So a few years back, I had purchased a EV, just a Kia Niro. I looked at a lot of electric cars. They are not nearly as enjoyable to drive as a combustion engine vehicle. But when you talk about that community, when you go and charge your car, and mine is a much longer charge. It was before fast charging really came to anyone except Tesla. And with Tesla, I love Elon Musk. I love the technology that his companies do, but the quality of that vehicle, and I don't mean just the paint, right? Detailers always talk about the quality of the paint, but just the body, things like that, just wasn't the right vehicle for us. And anyone that's buying an electric car, most of them have purchased it because they were going after the tax credits that were available and everything. And you're stuck at this electric charger for, at least 15 minutes, but someone like me, I might be there for 45 minutes. And I've had some really great conversations with people that, are like-minded like myself. So one year I bought solar panels for the tax credit. The next year I'm doing an electric car. It's always kind of the next thing. And I've actually gotten some great advice, from that area. And many people that drive electric cars have that same feeling like, oh man, you know what? My Mustang is so much more enjoyable to drive. Electric cars may have more torque, but there's just something about that shake, something about that noise that you get out of a combustion engine. And there's virtually no noise out of an electric car. So it's, a lot's missing, but the community is still there, which is kind of comical. I thought it would kind of fade away, and it didn't at all. If anything, it probably got stronger.
Yeah, everybody, there's a car community for everything. Old cars.
Oh, yeah, you got the Jeep Wave. That was when the Mustangs always wave, but I mean the Jeep Wave is like one of my favorite things. I love to see, like, hey, you don't even know these people, but you're obligated to. You're like, oh, that guy didn't do it. He's gonna bang a Yui just so we can drive by him again and make sure he waves to him. It's cool.
So tell us your detailing background. How long you've been into it? How'd you get into it? Who you worked for?
Yeah, so I've been in it for 15 years now, just over 15 years. and I kind of fell into it. And what I really mean by that is I was going to college for computer science. Growing up as a kid, I was always, oh, I'm going to make video games when I grow up. And I started working for this wholesale, warehouse distributor, oil filters, wiper blades, light bulbs, anything that a garage would stock that you would swing by once a week and get them hooked up with. And started doing their website, paper catalogs, more marketing than anything. Then I started taking over the office. And after the office, a salesman goes on vacation and I hop out on the road and cover someone's vacation for a week. And my boss, I come back after the week and my boss, hey, you did pretty good. And I was like, you just paid me to go shoot the shit with people for an entire week. Like, when's the next time a guy goes on vacation? And sales is so much more than that, but I will have to say I'm probably more enjoying of the business side of stuff and the technical sales side of stuff than I am a deep dive into the detail process. And that's what really sparked my interest at first. And then from there, we actually had Simon Eyes. So everyone knows who Simon Eyes is. Simon Eyes approached us to be the Massachusetts, New Hampshire distributor for their professional detailing products, not retail or car wash, but professional detailing. And we had brought in a sales rep for that, so it was a whole new segment for that distributor. And probably a year into it, all of a sudden I'm now running their reconditioning department. 5 days a week on the road, just trying to see what I can do. And I was very green, typical salesman opening experience. Here's a box of business cards. Here's a pad of paper. Here's a pen. Good luck. And from there, I'm like, all right, I've got all these products that I need to learn how to sell. And I'm a strong believer, if I'm going to sell something, I need to know how it works. And that's actually how I kind of started a side hustle mobile detailing business that grew and eventually, went for a whole season as a full-time business. I had hired an employee. He worked 40 hours every single week for that year, and kind of really different. So I started that detailing business out of a 97 hatchback Integra. And I used to have to put my pancake compressor and my carpet extractor in my passenger seat just right, because literally one day I was driving down the highway and I went to shift into third gear and I couldn't get my shifter into third gear because my carpet extractor was too far over into my passenger seat. Wish I didn't find that out with a truck driving down the road.
Did you see my interview with Danny? Like he said that he did mobile detailing in a Corvette.
That's awesome. That is hilarious because, obviously I had a little bit more room than that. And, but that also, I will say, shaped my mind a lot, right? So you and I met when I was the Eastern Zone Manager for Auto Magic. And when you do detailing out of something so small like a Corvette or an Integra, figuring out how to use multiple products for different jobs became very important, right? I can't have an engine degreaser and a wheel degreaser and an interior, you can't end up with all these different products. And that really is what honed me into start looking at, concentrated products that could be diluted in different ways for different applications. So one of the, most important products in my detailing business as I kept growing was Red Hot from Auto Magic, which is globally their best-selling product. And it was one of those things where, I was I had a wholesale distribution account set up with a few people because I had already known some manufacturers when I left the first distributor I was with. And I still called my local Auto Magic distributor here in New England to get Red Hot because there was nothing that allowed you to dilute it, 30 to 1 for one type of use and 10 to 1 for another type of use and 4 to 1 for a different use. And as a mobile detailer, it was a no-brainer. And very quickly, when I got into my first year of that detailing business becoming a full-time thing, I purchased an F-150, moved over to a truck, which meant I had plenty of room. I had a cap on it and everything. And that business, although I would say I did a lot more cars, my bread and butter became RVs and marine details because I had all these customers, all these detailers that were in fixed locations across Massachusetts that didn't want to travel or go to a boat or didn't want to have a boat brought into their garage, and they were literally all just sending these leads to me. And so I ended up doing a lot of marine applications, and it definitely was hard work.
Yeah, I mean,
RVs are a lot harder than automotive detailing, and it's comical. I don't know if that's what's driven me to have such a passion about interior detailing nowadays. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot.
yeah, I mean, that's, you understand, but some of the people that are the younger generations that are just getting into detailing, they need to understand. You need to figure it. My dad growing up always said, figure it out. I mean, he beat that into my, not literally, okay, figuratively speaking, into my head about figuring stuff out. And you have to trial and error. And some people I see a lot that are afraid to make a mistake. And like you and myself and any others that we know that have been doing it for 15, 20 years, you can't say that you haven't made mistakes. You have to make mistakes, and that's how you learn.
So I'll talk about one of my favorite mistakes to talk about. It was a one and only. It was when I started detailing. Back then, everybody did $100 details. That was like the norm. And
yeah, that was back when product was cheap.
Yeah.
Nothing. Not even the cheap stuff is cheap.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's so I was doing a $100 detail on this vehicle, and not crazy paint correction. This is you got to go back to this is when Porter Cable was the DA, right? I learned on a rotary when I was taught when I was 18, 19 years old. It was all about rotary. I learned from old school guys, 4,500 RPMs, with Big Red. I mean, you used to be able to feel the sand. As soon as you started it up, the product would start dusting like crazy. So that's what I learned on. And as I started moving over to my business full time, well, that's when McGuire's came out with the microfiber pads and the two-step DA system that would get you, 75, 80% paint correction. And it looked great, awesome. So I was doing this $100 detail. This is back. I didn't tell someone, oh, I got to inspect the vehicle first. Yeah, $100 inside out. We wash it, one-step polish, yada, yada, yada. Well, this person just bought this vehicle from someone that was in construction, and it was loaded with sand and clay, right? And sand and clay just doesn't go together. And I don't remember what it was back then, but it still had that cheap, probably like a Hyundai, just cheap carpet. So it wasn't something you could really hit with an extractor and remove and it didn't, and it was black. So I could never get all of the sand out. Every time it dried, more sand appeared. Back then I would refuse to use carpet dye. Now I'm like, listen, profitability is profitability. If you got to dye some sand black, dye some sand black. And I know that's like a comical thing to hear, coming out of, nowadays I'm the sales director for North America, South America for a Swiss coating brand. So for someone that's, supposed to be all about, top of the line, highest quality, it doesn't mean that I can't have that conversation, but at the end of the day, your profitability is most important. So if you're only getting paid $100, you cannot spend the amount of hours I spent on it. So although I was a mobile detailer, I have a 900 square foot heated garage with a drain in the floor at my house, but I am 20 minutes away from everything, which is how I like it. Well, every time this customer called me and said, oh, there's more sand in my car, I would drive to Leominster, 20 minutes out of my way, and I refused to drive the car all the way back to Ashby. So I would drive to Leominster, and I'd just go to the local car wash, pay $5 in quarters, and vacuum out. It probably wasn't $5 back then. It was probably $2, $3 in quarters, and vacuum out again. And I did this 2-3 days in a row, and eventually I just handed her $100 back. And I was like, here, you didn't pay me anything to detail your car. It's 100% free on me. Thank you very much. Because I just couldn't make her happy. And that was probably, although that was, my least profitable detail, obviously, it was probably the biggest learning curve for me, because it was one of those things where it taught me to set expectations. And now I always just very much undershoot if I do a detail. And 7 years ago, when I became a manufacturer rep and I travel almost every week, like I said, I literally yesterday flew out to Cleveland in the morning and then flew home last night. So it was when I started doing that, I said, all right, no more detailing. And so I don't really detail anymore. I'm just a manufacturer rep. I've been just a manufacturer rep for the last 7 years. But now every now and then someone squeezes their vehicle into my garage, and I'm more of a hobbyist detailer now. But what's comical is as a hobbyist detailer versus some of my my full-time years as a professional detailer running my detail business, Wax Monkey. I'm more profitable as a hobbyist than I ever was back then, just from, like you said, the mistakes you make and how you learn from them.
Another thing too, mistakes is one thing, and another thing is knowing who your customer is. Along the lines of expectations.
It's not a mistake if you learn from it. If you do it twice, then it's a mistake. If you do it once, you're learning. That's the biggest thing. There's so many things. I was just saying it with one of my coworkers where I'm at today. It's let's just go with it and we'll fix it later if we have to. Because it's not a mistake if you see it, you learn from it, and you improve. That's a learning experience. It's only a mistake if you keep repeating it.
Yeah, I mean, that too, but it's just trying, getting that in your hands. I actually had somebody that took a detailing class. It was IGL when me and Dustin and Marcus did it, and afraid to touch a buffer, period. DA, rotary. I don't know if you've ever had that before or not.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't put. I can get it in. Like, he was afraid. I don't know what he thought was going to happen or anything, but you just have to try. And trying on something that's cured versus body shop. I learned in the body shop. Handed me Makita and said, "Do it." There wasn't, I'm 43 for anybody out there. And I started in car collision when I was 20, and there wasn't YouTube. There wasn't training classes. It was, here, do it. And needless to say, the very first one, I didn't go very well. And doing something straight out of a paint booth and versus cured is a whole nother animal.
There's also a whole nother animal to that. So 20 years ago, we were still spraying solvent paints. We weren't spraying waterborne paints. So the stuff that you learned back then versus stuff nowadays where we're baking paint. Back then you still used to be able to flow paint to a level where now there's no such thing as that. And that's what gets very concerning is people will sometimes teach what they learned 20, 30 years ago, and paint has changed so much, fabric has changed so much, and you have to almost understand how each vehicle or each era of vehicles will differ, and sometimes you need to use a different technique for specific vehicles, just based off of their years, which I think the industry is getting better at realizing that they can't just do the same thing on every single vehicle and expect the same results across the board.
What is one new vehicle that I've had a heck of a time with? I don't know if you've done one yet or not. Goes to this point is the new Tahoe or the Trailblazer.
Okay.
I've thrown the book at it. The fenders are aluminum versus older ones which are metal. So for those out there, when you're buffing aluminum to metal, the transition's different because aluminum and metal hold heat differently. And I don't know what it is with the paint. I don't know what it is with the clear. I mean, I throw every pad at it. Um, and I'm talking brand new from the lot, 400 miles on it. And I'm like, yeah, easy peasy. And then, 10 hours later. Um, have you had any experience with it? Why is it that, like trying to put coating on it? I called a couple people, like, you have a problem with this? It just won't lay. I mean, I got it to do it, but it wasn't just normal easy on, easy off.
Yeah. So I haven't specifically worked on those. Aluminum, though, when I start having people talk about aluminum substrates, I get very much into the same polishing technique recommendations that I get into like with fiberglass, right? So not trying to polish the entire panel in left to right order. Sometimes doing like the top left section and then bouncing to the bottom right section, so you're not having that heat effect from one section to the next, which is very common in fiberglass. Sometimes you'll do half a fender of a Corvette, and then you'll go to like the door and do half the door of the Corvette, and then go back to the other half of the fender because now that heat's been able to go away as it speeds up so much. And I know obviously moving to DAs versus rotaries, we're not dealing with as much heat, so it doesn't get as finicky.
Well, yeah, I was using a DA and
it's still there. Now, the other big thing that I'll say is, and I learned from Jason Rose, I don't know, a decade ago about water polishing, and that is like one of the most underused secrets out there. Is you're really just polishing with the pad and water at the point. And it's probably one of my favorite things because you are able to take a pad that sometimes is really aggressive and firm, and I will say the softer pads get very sticky and kind of grab onto those panels, and instead of ending up with like a black polishing pad, you end up saying with more of a or a black finishing pad, you end up with like a yellow polishing pad or a burgundy polishing pad, and using just water you get that firmness so it doesn't grab as much,
but then doesn't burn.
But then you don't have those issues. So I have to say that is something that I don't think is used enough, and I don't think is taught enough. But it's such a small problematic area that people don't really talk about it, right? And same thing like in our classes, when I do a training class nowadays, usually my first day is more mobile, detailer, beginner detailer friendly, where we go through basics of paint correction. And then the second day is our pro installer training. And we don't really talk about, we just prove how to do paint correction. We don't really deep dive into it with any like wet sanding and all of that stuff. And I've done classes like that. And, hearing you kind of describe the problems a little bit, I think water polishing is the way that I would probably pursue that.
I didn't think about that. I don't know. Maybe I've tried that. I've done so much buffing, but never really thought about it. But as for the coating, aluminum to metal, I maybe that's something you might want to look into, or when you run across it. I mean, yeah. Bring new paint, and
that part right there, it makes me wonder what type of paint they're using on those, what clear coat they're using. And,
obviously like fog. And it just doesn't want to do the normal ceramic coating, lay, cure, take it back off. It just wants to fog up, tacky. It just doesn't want to. I can't even describe it. I've never had anything do that.
Yeah. So most, and I don't know if Diamond ProTech would solve this problem, but most coatings rely on sitting on top of the clear coat and building a shell. And it sounds like for some reason it's not able to sit on that top. Now, Diamond ProTech is not an SiO2 based coating; it's a PHPS based coating, so we absorb. We're a lot more polymer than anything, and then a lot of our flexibility comes from the enriched nano diamonds, which is manufactured by us, patented by us. But I wonder if the clear coat is different. So know how like they'll paint bumpers different? They'll use a paint that has more polymers in it, so that it's flexible, so that if there's ever any give, it doesn't splinter and crack the paint on the bumpers. I wonder if they're doing something different with the E-coat, right? So I could definitely see the E-coat changing on an aluminum panel versus a traditional metal panel. How it's affecting their base coat, their clear coat, is it a tricolor? Like all of those things bounce through my head, and that would be
it was just straight black.
Just straight black with the clear coat on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that I just wonder, are they using some type of clear coat that for some reason the SiO2 isn't bonding to, right? So there's 7 different chemical makeups that you can make silica dioxide to. And I know that 2 of them don't really play well with many automotive finishes, but that would be the only thing I wonder, is if for some reason it wasn't absorbing the right way because of the clear coat was different.
It's definitely different. I don't know what it is. I didn't sit down and research it, but it's definitely different. And if GM's listening out there, please, tell us what did you do. Like I don't even want to coat one. Like I do ceramic wax, but the amount of time I had in a Trailblazer and a Tahoe, especially the Tahoe was brand new, straight from the lot, and that much time trying to get it to lay. It came out beautiful, but amount of time just and they didn't want to do it at the dealership either.
So I just we've been doing a lot of stuff in the film industry, like PPF and vinyl, color change films, commercial films, and I do know that we've had lots of conversations with them on, many of them are starting to infuse their films with SiO2. And SiO2s don't play well. Like I said, there's 2 of them that don't play well with the rest of them. And many film manufacturers have identified that coatings won't bond to their SiO2 infused films. So then as I talk with them, I say, oh, well, we're a PHPS, we're designed differently, we're all about absorption. And many of them are very impressed on how we penetrate and work with their films in a different manner, and we're not affected by that SiO2 barrier. So I just wonder, are they using some type of different paint from DuPont or whatever that has DuPont, PPG, and every manufacturer goes with whoever the least expensive bidder is for the quarter. So that black paint can be different, every 3 months. It's usually not, but could be. And I just wonder, is there an additive in that clear coat that is causing whatever chemical you have to not work? So if they started using an SiO2 additive that's one of those other 2 rather than the higher quality 5, that could be the reason you're having that rejection.
What's up, Willie the detailer? You see he said hello?
Oh, hey, Willie.
I don't know. I have no idea. But where do you see the industry going?
Oh, so it's funny. I've had this conversation with a lot of people here recently, because obviously the economy is in a weird place, and the industry I see as a whole, we're all being looked at in a lot more professional limelight, right? People are really starting to look for the high quality detailer, the detailer that's not just got a wash bucket and a wash mitt that's doing mobile detailers. I'm not saying that those customers don't exist anymore, but people are starting to value what detailers bring to the table. So one of my favorite statistics that I learned about, during COVID. So pre-COVID, the average American number of months that someone kept a car was less than 2 years. It was 20 months. So on average, someone kept a vehicle for 20 months. What this means is there's people out there like me, who I've had my truck since 2016, so I've had it for 8 years, right? There is enough people that, me where I'm at 6 years, they were replacing their cars so much faster than every 2 years, faster than every 20 months, that they brought that number down pre-COVID. After COVID, our vehicle ownership rate went over 7 years. We had a massive spike in that time where people used to lease vehicles a lot. They'd have a 2-year lease and they'd turn it in before the 2 years was even up. Even if they bought the vehicle, they were getting into a new vehicle every 2 years. I know a lot of people just from traveling sales. Both of our vehicles get 30 to 40,000 miles a year on them, right? So as a family, we're driving 80,000 miles a year on our two vehicles. There's a lot of people doing that, and a lot of people like to replace their vehicles at 100,000 miles, which is doable. But to drive that number from 20 months to 7 years, it means that so many people are holding on to them much longer. They don't have plans on replacing them. This is where you can almost play the economy into your favor of, hey, let's make sure we do a better job maintaining your vehicle, because you're not just going to get a new one. So that dirty vehicle that you're like, oh, I'll give back to the dealership while it's dirty and they can clean it. No, now it's your job to make sure you get it cleaned, and they want to make sure it gets done the right way.
What's going on, Vic? I'm doing good. It's the cost. New trucks and SUVs are, through the roof. I have an 06 2500 heavy duty GMC Sierra. Obviously, I take care of it being a detailer, and it's got 135,000. It's got a 6.6 diesel, and I stopped at the dealership on Sunday and looked at a 2024 2500 heavy duty SLT 6.6 diesel crew cab, and the sticker said 100K, and about had a heart attack. And
I have no need for 2500, even the 1500s, which is where we lie. You're at 87,000 for a brand new one, and it's they're cool. I love the new tailgates that GM does. I think if you get rear-ended, your truck's probably totaled if you need a new tailgate. But yeah, it's crazy how cool they are. But mine's 2014. It's black. I've got a spot. It's been polished so many damn times because it's a black GM that I've got a spot that's burned through. But the car looks immaculate. I get told by people all the time, "Oh, your truck looks great." I think it looks like trash because I'm a detailer and I can see all the imperfections, and I'm the vehicle owner. But the thing's got 220,000 miles. I've rebuilt the transmission, but man, I can't wrap my head around spending six figures for a vehicle. That's just crazy.
Well, this circles back around to what we're saying is people are reinvesting into what they have, because if you spend a couple $1,000 to buff coats, dry ice blasting, for any of those out there watching, I do dry ice blasting, undercarriage work, mobile, clean coat. I do more of a restoration, rust treatment, sand grind paints, the whole nine. A lot of people are getting into that, and that's the direction it's going. Again, it's definitely on the high end of detailing. It's not cheap because the machine's not cheap. You have ice and other materials, but spending a couple grand, do your undercarriage, coat your truck, SUV, whatever. Let's say you spend $4 or $5 grand, and you keep it another 10 years. Versus spending, like I said, spending $100 grand.
So the other thing is that $100,000 truck. Now you've got insurance on a $100,000 truck. Everyone's watched their insurance go through the roof. So I live in Massachusetts. We are a must insure state. Now you don't have to have full coverage if you don't have a loan on the vehicle, obviously. But even if you don't have full coverage on a vehicle, it's up there. And while I was young, I was pretty dumb with my driving record, but my driving record's pretty good. And Mandy, my wife, has a perfect driving record. So our insurance is still kind of up there on the two vehicles we own, and we do have full coverage on the truck. We own it outright. It's I think it's worth like 15 grand according to Kelley Blue Book. Maybe it's worth more. I don't know. I haven't looked in a long time. But the insurance is up there too, and that's a cheap truck. Could you imagine having that insurance on a $100,000 truck that you've got a loan on? It all adds up. It's not just the $1,000 a month truck payment. It's also the $500 a month insurance payment. And you're like, oh wow, it's $2,000 for me to have this truck every month, and I got to buy gas.
Yeah, like Willie, the detailer, said out in California, he says that it's triple the rates, and I mean, I can't even imagine. Just like everything else in out west is way more expensive. I'm in Indiana. In Indiana, then you have the cost of the plate. It's based upon how new or old something is. Yeah. So when I renew every year, like my '06, the plate was what, $80. But that same plate to buy brand new on that truck is probably $1,000 for one plate. Just to get that. Actually, my 24-foot enclosed trailer costs the renewals more than my 16 Denali Yukon.
So that's very equivalent to like our excise tax. So we have a registration fee that's $80 every 2 years. Maybe it's every 2 years for business, every 4 years for residential. Or I don't know if I'm getting that wrong. But then you also have excise tax on that vehicle as well. So every year you get an excise tax bill at the beginning of the year. I mean, it adds up quick. And again, based off the value of the vehicle is where that excise tax falls into.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Diamond ProTech.
So, yeah, Diamond ProTech. Prior to being with Diamond ProTech, I was with one of the largest chemical manufacturers and brands here in United States for 5 years. And I did the East Coast. I had kind of a cushy job. I did the largest market globally and always put up the largest growth. And Diamond ProTech is a Swiss manufacturer. They are manufactured in Geneva, Switzerland, and they had approached me and said, "Hey, check out this stuff. It's a better coating." Everyone always says, "Oh, it's a better coating," and so I start playing with it, and probably wasn't at the very beginning educated on what makes a Diamond ProTech composite coating so much different. So we're a composite coating. Composite's a fancy word of saying multiple parts. We have enriched nano diamonds. We are the people that actually enrich it. So our parent company is NGNT. So if you ever do business with us, you'll see, NGNT USA is our company that runs North America, South America, and then NGNT SA is the Swiss office. For
anybody out there watching, Tyler is IDA trainer and also the trainer for Diamond ProTech if anybody is interested in being certified.
Yeah, I love talking about the IDA, and we've got Skills Validated Week coming up here in October. So we've got a lot of we've got 65 RITs, recognized independent trainers with the IDA. So globally, so there's going to be about in the second or third week of October, there's going to be at least 65 training events happening all around the world, which is exciting. So keep an eye out for any of that training, and you can obviously do the certified detailer online and everything, which is great. But so the big thing with Diamond ProTech that was different for me is that the enriched nano diamonds is their patent.
Hold on 1 second, Willie. He says he's a distributor for Diamond ProTech.
He is. He's got. If you're in Southern California, Willie's got all of our products right there on it, ready for you to swing by, pick them up, and use them. And Southern California is actually a great market for us, and we're a great product for humid markets with a lot of mobile detailers because of the way Diamond ProTech works. So the enriched nano diamonds is where we get a lot of our chemical resistance. So we can actually resist, depending on what product you're using, all the way down to a pH spectrum of 2.5 and all the way up to a 13. Where most coatings, most SiO2 silica dioxide based coatings are going to be removed when you get anywhere close or past a 4 or 5 on the acidic level, and usually an 11 or 12 will strip off most SiO2 based coatings on an alkalinity level. So our chemical resistance is huge. Our penetration is how we really work with the film, the clear coat, the glass that we're being put onto, and glass was a big one. So the product that really showed me that they were different is our glass coating. Living in Massachusetts, I put the product on in November, and the entire first winter, we never had to use an ice scraper on either of our vehicles.
My favorite thing about your product is, you could put that on the airbrush,
the sprayer, the Iwata.
Yes. Yeah,
and the adapter, our proprietary adapter, which is really nice. So, and I know you and I have done some stuff. We posted a video on TikTok back when we were together, or I posted a video on TikTok back when we were together, and it got a pretty big following. And if anyone's looking for that, we've actually now made that available to anyone. So you don't have to be a pro installer. You can purchase that without being a pro installer. I'm not saying it will work on other people's bottle, but if they have the same thread on their bottles, technically their bottles will match up to our adapter. And it is a proprietary adapter that works with the Iwata spray gun that's specifically designed for us. But yeah, I mean, big things. We have extended flash times and rapid cure times. So what do I mean by rapid cure times? My favorite product is Diamond Body. It's our 18-month coating. It easily lasts 2 years. We've never seen it fail faster than 2 years in any of our testing. But the Swiss are really conservative on everything, so they do call it an 18-month coating. You get 5 to 10 minutes of flash time, of working time, so you can do half a vehicle at a time. But as soon as you level it out, it is immediately ready to get wet. So when you talk about being a mobile detailer, which goes back to where we were talking about my 97 Integra, I used to have a canopy, but do you know how many times I was waxing a car under a canopy and it was raining? And that's the only reason I had that canopy up. And, it took forever for that wax to flash. Well, now having that Diamond Body and knowing that as soon as you level it out, it's ready to be rained on, that to me is such a profit-based coating. And it does a great job at gloss rather than shine. And what that means is where most SiO2-based coatings focus on shine enhances and really brightens the scratches and imperfection of the finish of the clear coat, where a gloss-based coating will hide some of them. Now, it doesn't make it perfect. If you're sitting under LED lights and you're a detailer, you're going to be able to find them. But it's a nice, easy way that if someone wants an inexpensive job, or they're not willing to pay you the right way to get the true paint correction done, Diamond Body is just a quick, easy way to print money. I mean, it comes in a 50 milliliter bottle. Even if you're not part of our certified network and you're paying full retail for the product, you get 3 vehicles out of a bottle, single layer coating, 20 minutes total application time. Your total investment into each vehicle is somewhere around $20-25 with that 50 milliliter bottle, doing 3 vehicles out of it. And with that being, and buying the proper prep product, but with that being spent, yeah, you can do a $299 add-on for a coating, right? On whatever you did for the detail, you can add another $299, $300, and you're making great money. And it's a quick, easy add-on where we used to, once upon a time, charge $80 for a polymer sealant. You're now getting to charge, $200-300, and it's actually faster for you to put this coating on than it is for you to do that polymer sealant that you only made $80 markup on.
Another quick one would be the glass coating.
Yep, you're correct. The glass coating is one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, it's the best one I've ever used. Some of those are difficult to get on and off. For those watching my channel out there, I did a video on putting that on, taking it off. Very easy. the main thing is just prep work and cleaning it correctly.
So yeah, no, that's the biggest thing for Diamond ProTech is because we absorb, we really need to make sure we're prepped the right way.
And
You
let
know,
it sit and let on the
and
windshield.
dwell.
Yeah.
Yes, dwell time's huge. I'm gonna end up having to take you guys down to my office. My phone is dying. I've been up working already, so my phone battery's already dead. I was up much earlier today, so
Yeah, I got in late and up early, so yeah, I had to put a new battery in this thing. For those out there, I do dry ice blasting. Willie, I don't know if you do that out your way or not, but if anybody's interested in learning, be more, please feel free to contact me. Have you ever looked into it, Willie? Undercarriage, undercarriage cleaning, dry ice cleaning for those out there using 3 millimeter pellets. It's environmentally friendly, and it's a great way to clean undercarriages, motors, transmissions, calipers, suspension. It's a higher end thing. It does, cleaning undercarriages does get messy for sure. So if you're going to get into it, definitely have somewhere to do it. But that's dry ice cleaning, laser cleaning is kind of big tech stuff where some of the industry is going. More and more people. Dry ice blasting's been around. It's not new. It's been around for decades, but it's become more affordable. The equipment's become more affordable for any of those want to look into it or want to ask me. I can dive deeper into it. But go. Is there anything else you want to talk about your Diamond ProTech?
No, I mean it's we go to market.
How can somebody do a class or?
Yeah, so we go to market a little bit different than most coating manufacturers. So we love working with local distributors. So like Willie. So Willie's over at the Detail Hub. The Detail Hub store sells our products. We have a lot of distributors that sell our products all across the country. And they have our pro products too, right? So we're not someone that just allows distributors to sell our non-certified products. You can literally have a distributor that has pro products right on the shelf. So we're actually working with someone in Indy right now. So we'll even have a solution for people that are out your way, that if they're pro certified, they still get pro certified through Diamond ProTech. And then we just let all of our distributors know, hey, these are the people that you're allowed to sell pro coatings to. So we have non-certified coatings. For a product to be considered non-certified, it has to be able to be done by a mobile detailer, applying a single layer, and is ready to get wet or ready to be delivered in an hour or less. So those are all of our non-certified coatings. On our pro coatings, it can be a multi-layered product. It has to be done in an enclosed environment, many times because between those 2 layers or 3 layers that the product may be, if we get any rain on the panel or fallout on the panel, the base coatings are very hydrophilic. So we have virtually a 1-to-1 build rate on our second and third layers because we use different formulations, where traditionally most coatings, especially in the SiO2 based coatings, you're looking at, if you're lucky, a 20% to 24% build rate. Diamond ProTech also sits at about a 22% build rate with second layers. But what that means is when you start using multiple layers, you're spending a lot more labor time for not a lot more benefit, unless you're using separate formulas. So those pro coatings has to be done inside, can be multiple layers, but still able to be delivered to the customer in 2 hours. So you can do a 10-year coating and deliver it same day, depending on the amount of paint correction that needs to be done, which is huge.
that segregates our products, how we go to market. You can buy from the manufacturer. We prefer you buy from our distribution network. While we are a Swiss-based manufacturing company, we handle North America, South America out of our Americas office, which is in New Rochelle. What makes us really unique as an imported brand is we do not use sea freight. We use air freight for everything. So what that means is today's Thursday. I could tell the Swiss that I need product. They would manufacture it tomorrow because they're 6 hours ahead of us, so there's no way it would get done today. They'd manufacture it tomorrow. They'd mail it out to us, and by Friday of next week, I would have that product in my warehouse ready to ship to you or a distributor to get it out to you guys. So our being sold out for us is virtually impossible, which is really exciting. It's a big thing, and Swiss quality is just really enjoyable, really nice. It eliminates so many hurdles that sometimes detailers will have. And the biggest training thing that we deal with is make sure you let the product dwell long enough and make sure you use a proper prep product. As long as someone does those two things, our coatings are the easiest to install. It's comical. We end up with same thing like probably you and me, where we learned to detail with a rotary, or whenever I do a training class with someone that's learned how to detail with a rotary, they move their hands way too fast on a DA, right? And that's kind of the same learning curve that we have with someone that's spent 10 years, 15 years on a rotary converting over to a DA. I have those same learning curves with our coating, because when you tell someone to wait 3, 5, 10 minutes for a coating to flash and they're used to having to wipe it off in 20 seconds, they freak out when you make them wait that long. But then they realize that if they wipe it off in 20 seconds, it's actually more difficult to wipe off that composite coating than it is when you wait 3 minutes. And the results are just nowhere near because you didn't allow it to absorb the way that it's supposed to absorb and penetrate into the surface that you're coating.
Mm-hmm. Where can people come check you out? Are you what events around the globe, or is Diamond ProTech coming the rest of the year?
Too many events. So Diamond ProTech gets pulled into a lot of events. Obviously, you've got SEMA, you've got Mobile Tech.
Who out there is going to SEMA? Comment below.
That'd be a great question. Who's going to SEMA? So we'll be at SEMA. We'll be at Mobile Tech. We do all the FESPA trade shows, the ISA trade shows. Wax Stock, I think, is coming up. Wax Stock just finished up, so we did that one.
Did anybody go to Wax Stock? I've been dying to go to Wax Stock. It looks awesome. Hopefully one day I'll get out there.
Wax Stock's a big one for us. We had a Morgan there. Wrap Fest is coming up. Was it Amsterdam's next month? Wrap Fest is the month after that, and then SEMA is the month after that, and that finishes up our year. But we do a lot of trade shows because what makes us very unique as a coating brand is, the most exciting thing for us as Americans is all of our pro-certified coatings are Carfax registered, right? So that's a big one. A lot of people ask for that here in the States. Anyone that's beginning to move their business into the wrapping industry, we do a lot with the wrap industry because no coating has ever penetrated film the way that we do. They always try to sit on the top of it, which causes fractures and other issues. And
PPF, the PPF, especially like you and I talked about, colored PPF coming a long way, and so that's probably the next big thing.
I think dry applied colored changing PPF is huge, but we are exclusively the only coating that's endorsed by the Wrap Institute, and the Wrap Institute is the largest educational platform for the film industry. And then obviously you've got Wax Stock and Wrap Fest that are both in the UK. We do a lot of stuff in the UK because we are, and to the best of my knowledge, the only aftermarket coating that's ever gotten to BOSYS. But as of April 1st, we are factory installed on every Morgan motor that is manufactured. Now, what I like to kind of highlight there is we're not installed at the dealership. We're installed on the assembly line of Morgan motors in the UK. So globally, every single Morgan Motors that is manufactured after April 1st has Diamond ProTech coatings on it. To be an aftermarket coating and applied at factory level is it just speaks volume for the credibility of the technology. And I can't really believe that I've left this out of it. The reason we have such credibility is because our coatings were we have SGS testing, TANSCA testing, which are all internationally recognized independent testing facilities. That testing range between $50,000 and $70,000 with them. But our coatings were originally developed for satellites, right? And that's the biggest thing. So because our coatings were developed for satellites, our technology is very unique in the automotive industry because we are sometimes reverse engineering the technology that was designed for satellites. Sometimes we're using the exact same technology. So like Diamond Glass right now is the exact same formula that comes out of our satellite program. And same thing like Diamond Wheels. Diamond Wheels does 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hotter than a Formula One race car will get their rims, right? 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit on your wheels is never going to fail because of heat. You've got that chemical resistance all the way down to 2.5, all the way up to 13, so you're not worried about your wheel cleaner stripping it off. Physical abrasion, which is just wear and tear of mileage, is pretty much the only way you're getting rid of Diamond wheels. And again, that's because that is the coating that was designed for motherboards to go on satellites in outer space that dealt with extreme heat while that satellite was on, the face of the Earth, directly between the Earth and the sun, with no atmospheric protection from UV exposure, just dealing with extreme heat. So that's the biggest thing that probably makes us different and makes us get some of these things like factory installed by Morgan Motors, exclusively endorsed by the RAP Institute. Registering with Carfax is, I don't want to say it's not a big deal. It is a great deal to be recognized by Carfax. They're the number one, maintenance categorizer. What's that called? Yeah, categorizer of maintenance of vehicles in the United States. There's some other ones out there, but it's cool to have those credible statements out there.
Awesome. How can we do some more of these? I don't know. Are you busy today, or is it time to?
I'm busy today. I don't mind doing some more of them. Definitely in the future. We just have to kind of figure that out.
Yeah. Did you talk to your social media person,
Tyler?
Yes.
A little. So as obviously we were scheduled to do this yesterday, and then Friday of last week I got scheduled to go to Ohio for a manufacturer yesterday. So my entire week since Friday of last week has been thrown upside down. So today I'm kind of playing catch up a little bit and then all that stuff. So we did talk a little bit, and I know he's figuring out some of the stuff that you and I talked about, I believe later today. For that program and everything.
Yeah, now that I finally got all this live stuff figured out and knocked out, and I would like to be able to do more. Like you and I talked about, like obviously I can't follow you around everywhere to different events, but now that I got the 3 lives out of the way and whatnot, then maybe it's a training or trade show or just whatever, can jump in and.
Yeah, I'm in the office for the next few weeks unless somebody else calls me and needs me to take a day trip. Pretty much till the end of the month. My next training event is down in Miami. So I'll be down in Miami at the end of the month, and other than that, I'll be here at the office. So that will be kind of the go-to. I've got. We've got some other big announcements here that we're trying to just get the paperwork done on and everything before SEMA. So that's kind of why I've got a little bit less time on the windshield on the road and just focusing on, getting that stuff done for our distributors and our installers.
Awesome. Yeah. I definitely want to be able to jump in on and check out, again, if you're at an event or whatever, and see what's going on. I want to be able to do a lot more live stuff. I was reading a thing on Gary Vee the other day about that's where social media is going, is live, the mundane. He
live
said.
Content.
Yeah, live streaming, just everything.
Right.
You can live stream at the office on the way, just whatever, and just be able to help grow the channel.
Awesome.
But I want to thank you, sir. I know, again, I know you're a busy man. Thank you for taking the time to jump on and tell us about Diamond ProTech. Can you tell everybody out there how to get a hold of you if they're wanting some Diamond ProTech certifications or products or whatnot?
So my username on most social media channels is Tyler Cucchi, IDACDSVRIT. You can send me an email at tyler.cucchi@diamondprotech.com. You can reach out to Diamond ProTech on all social media channels. Tyler Walsh, our marketing manager, will get in touch with me if that's the easiest way. And then my phone number is 917-860-1106. Phone number is probably not the best way to always get me. As you guys kind of heard me say, yesterday I was completely out of pocket all day. And that happens very frequent. So if I'm doing a training event, a few weeks ago, I was doing a training event in Delaware and then New Jersey. The day before that, I was in New York. All 3 of those days, if you reached out to me, I wasn't going to be able to pick up the phone. So, yeah, I mean, just be patient. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. That's the only thing I'd probably say. But yeah, reach out. Love to chat and help anyone I can.
Yeah, for those that normally watch me, make sure to follow, comments. You want to reach out, ask me anything about dry ice blasting, you can call me 301-730-4727. You can email onlydetailers@gmail.com. Make sure to check out, follow on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube channel as Only Detailers, Instagram, make sure to, give me a shout out. And for any of those, want to sit down and interview, tell me about your business, make sure to reach out as well. I love learning about how people got into detailing, how they got into cars. And we will see you on the next video. Again, thank you, sir. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Have a great one.
You too. Bye.